Good evening, Ornava. I have a phone here that's ringing, whoever it belongs to. I guess we'll just leave it.
Is that
It's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight with everybody. It's funny, a little over a year ago I was supposed to come here and speak. And due to not one but two weddings that was going on that night, at the last minute, it just didn't work. Borei Olam had a plan. And you're looking at it tonight. By the way, anybody ever heard of a guy by the name of Raji Rashmani? I hope not. You see, this Raji Rashmani, he was an Iraqi terrorist. He was famous but yet infamous. He was known as the deadly letter bomb assassin. He used to make these little nifty letter bombs. And the way he kind of did it, after putting the explosives on the inside of the envelope, he would send it out to his victim. And then when the person receiving the letter would open it up, instantly the explosives would detonate and it would kill the person. This Raji Rashmani, one time, he was commissioned by a terrorist group to send one of his little nifty letter bombs out to a yeshiva in Israel. And there, Raji, very happy, put together a very highly explosive letter bomb, and he addressed the letter to the yeshiva and to the name of the Rosh HaYeshiva. Then Raji took the letter, mailed it out to Israel, and he was hoping for the best. But little did Raji realize that he did not put on the letter enough postage. The letter ended up coming back to Raji with a stamp returned to sender. Raji did not recognize one of his own letters and thereby opened his own letter. And that was the end of a very short-lived letter bomb terrorist career.
when did this happen?
I think it was 7 years ago.
Wow.
The Torah is magne umatzle. The Torah protects. The Torah shields. And it's the greatest protection that we have today in Am Yisrael. We're living in very dangerous times. And in these times, there was never a better time to get the shield and protection of our wonderful Torah, because nothing else protects us greater than our Torah Hagdosha. But I want to ask you something. The Torah protects us. Who today is protecting the Torah? Who are the guardians today of the Torah? I want to tell you tonight something incredible. You know, the last many parashiyot, we were dealing with the building of the Mishkan. The Mishkan had these magnificent kelim, but wait. There was one of the kelim that was probably what you would call the keli that stole the show. The keli is one of the utensils, and the many different things that were put into the Mishkan, one of them was more exquisite than all. And that was the Aron, the ark. This ark, this Aron, was made out of 3 boxes. 2 were gold, 1 was wood. On the top of this magnificent golden box, there lied the Kruvim, the cherubs, with children's face. Each one looked at the other and hugged each other, showing the love of the Jewish people. But wait, on the inside of this golden box, there was the treasure of all treasures, the treasure of the Jewish people, the Luchot, the Torah Hagdosha. And because this was so incredibly holy, it was only befitting to put this box in the Holy of Holies, in the Kodesh HaKodashim. If anyone would touch this box, they would die instantly. That's how holy it was. And because of that, how actually did they carry it if you can't touch it? So they took these rods, they put these golden rings on the side of these golden boxes, and they sent 2 rods on both sides of the box. and the carriers of the Aron would pick it up by these rods as not to touch the box. And that's the way they would carry the Aron Ha'edut. You know what we called these people? We called them the Nos'eh Ha'aron, the carriers of the Aron. Wait 1 second, what was that word? Nos'eh. In Hebrew, the word Nos'eh means to carry, but the same letters means Nos'et, Nisat, Nisu'in. It means marriage. To teach you something incredible. That just like by the Torah, by the magnificent Aron, those, we put rings on those rods to carry the Aron, so too, we put a ring on a young Jewish girl's finger to carry the Torah of her husband. You are the carriers of the Torah and the future of our guys today. I run a minyan. I have, Baruch Hashem, about 150 to 200 guys between the ages of 17 to 30. And I am telling you today, more than ever, no matter how much potential these guys had, no matter what families they came from, no matter what financial background they had going for them, there was only one deciding factor on the future of the bringing potential out of these guys. There was only one secret to who succeeded and who didn't. And that was, who did they marry? Today, a wife makes or breaks her husband. Once upon a time, it was very different. Once upon a time, the guys were much more involved in what goes on in the Yahadut, Judaism level of the home. But today they're so overwhelmed. Today we're living in very tough financial times. Today we're living in a country that the great rat race of America and that tremendous pressure, peer pressure, to keep up with the Jones, to bring home what they feel is going to fit in society, that they don't look like they're behind. It's throwing our guys out there at 6 o'clock in the morning and they're working till 10, 11 o'clock at night in a recession in difficult times. So who's running the home today? Our wonderful young ladies, the mothers and the future mothers of Am Yisrael. Today, it's the mothers who have their finger on the pulse of the level of Judaism in our homes. Today, it's the mothers who are deciding which schools their kids go to, not the fathers. I can tell you from personal experience. I can talk till I'm blue to a guy, until finally he says, okay, Rabbi, just talk to my wife. Today, it is the wife that's the sole driver of the level of Yahadut, of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism in the home. Our kids, our husbands, our homes. It's in your hands. What are you going to do with it? In these times, you have to ask yourself, you're not just the Akeret HaBayit. Today, you're the whole kit and caboodle. Today, you're the guardians of Am Yisrael, our Torah, your husbands to be, your children, and most importantly, the Jewish home. I'd like to share with you something from a lady that comes to my Shabbat classes. We have weekly a Parasha inspiration class every Shabbat in the new shul on East 9th between T and U at 4:15. And one of the ladies came over to me one Shabbat, and I was laughing because I knew the story that she was telling over to my wife. A few years back, one evening, this lady, she called me late at night, and she was frantic. Rabbi, what did you do to my husband? What did I do to your husband? What did I do to your husband? I didn't do anything to your husband. What did I do? You don't understand. You must have done something. You see, earlier tonight, she tells me, my husband, I know my husband. We've been married now for quite a few years. I know just the way he slams the door on the way into the house, what type of a day he had. And wow, when he came home tonight, I knew, stand clear of closing doors. Today must have been that day, Murphy's Law day, everything that can go wrong did go wrong. And he came home and bang, he slammed the door, and I knew, whoa. Quickly I grabbed the kids. I told them, go upstairs to your rooms, go upstairs to your rooms. Daddy's not in a good mood. And my husband came marching into the kitchen. No hello, no how are you, nothing. Silence. Well, as a wife, I tried to do whatever I could. Matter of fact, I actually made what he liked that night. So I sit him down. I start a magnificent meal for him. And there, little by little, hoping I can get a word out of him. Oh no, he's all into the plate, chomping away, wouldn't say a word. And then at the end of the meal, go no, let alone a compliment. Not a word. She says, Rabbi, I was really hurt. But then it got worse. Then he started telling me, how come you make the same food every night? Why can't we have a menu in this house? Maybe go to my mother, she'll teach you how to cook. And he started getting nasty. Not only that, but then when the kids started screaming for upstairs to come out of bed, when he heard that, he goes running up the stairs, screaming at them, yelling at them, get back into bed. I see anybody out of bed, they're going to get the feel of the back of my hand. This is not my husband. Who is this guy? So you know what I did? I did what every wife should do. I said, honey, go to a share. I threw him out of the house. I told him, get out. Go to the rabbi. You're his problem. She says, Rabbi, I want to tell you something. That night, I sent him to shiur by you and shul, not because really I was thinking about his learning. I just wanted him out. Just get out. He was a monster. She says, but then something crazy happened. Later on that night, when he came back from the shiur, I hear the front door open, and gently the front door closes. And then he comes into the house. He walked up to me and he said, honey, I was totally out of line. I feel terrible. I'm apologizing. Come, let's sit down. Let's talk. And my husband looked at me, and all of a sudden, the metamorphosis from caterpillar to butterfly, I couldn't believe it. Who is this guy? This is not the same guy from earlier tonight. That's my husband. And then after we had a beautiful conversation, he made his way up the stairs. He tucked in the kids, gave each one a kiss. He came back down, and we sat, we spoke. Rabbi, what did you do to my husband? What'd you do? And I told her, I didn't do nothing. All I did was sit down and learned with him a piece of a Gemara. But you see, when the Torah went into him, the Torah refined him. The Torah keeps our guys good. It's not just about Hashem. It's not just about doing the right thing. Even in a selfish concept, do it for yourself. You want a husband that's going to be refined? Someone who's going to act to a wife the way the wife should be treated. Do you want somebody who's going to be that father for your kids that you always dreamt of? But better yet, you want a loyal husband? Make sure he's connected to Torah. Make sure he has a share and he's learning. And that's your role. And that's your calling. And that's the magnificent greatness of the Akeret HaBayit. She is making everyone in her home to the true potential of what their calling in life is. And today, it's not a luxury. Today, you have a need to be great. Today, we're counting on you guys. Because you carry that role today more than anybody out there. I'd like to share something with you. Something that Hashem has gifted you beyond words. Where you're making our husbands today, you're making our kids today, and you're making the home. The Shabbat in our home, it starts with a wonderful Shabbat Malka, the wife of the home. She is the true Shabbat Malka. She's the one that begins the Shabbat with her lighting of candles. She introduces and brings Shabbat into the home. If Shabbat in the home is what it was meant to be, and you, the guardian of that Shabbat, the one that's koveya, that sets the path for how this home is going to run, you just brought a tremendous blessing into your home. Because when that Shabbat queen comes in Shabbat to your home, every queen brings a king with her. Every queen, the Shabbat queen, brings the king of all kings. Melech Malchei HaMelachim. That's a guest that you want in your home. Because that's the secret behind Shabbat as the Mikor HaBeracha, the source of all blessing. You know who's the source of all blessing? Hashem. And it's Shabbat, together with the queen and the king, that enters your home. And who ushers them in? You. You're creating the Shabbats in our home, making it what it should be. You're the force behind our husbands to become what they can be. And you're the protective force behind our kids to be able to survive a galut in America. What we're going against out there today, we've never gone against before. And I don't have to tell you what's going on out there. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know about the young kids. I'm going to share with you an incredible concept. A concept that was words of prophecy, that was said over by the great Rabbi Chanan Wasserman. Zechet Tzadik Libracha. But when did he say this? He said this in the 1930s. And it's amazing when you hear these words. You're going to see how these words are true divrei nevuah. Listen to this. Rabbi Chanan said, and he wrote this in a book called Ikveta de Mashiach, the times of the coming of Mashiach. Writes Rabbi Chanan, there's going to be 3 signs right before Mashiach comes. One sign, writes Rabbi Chanan, is that the isms of the world will suddenly disappear. Now, to say that statement in the 1930s was outright prophecy. You see, because in that time, the world was all about communism, socialism. It was all about what you would call fascism, Germany. All the isms at that time ruled the world. Says Rabbi Chanan, at the time that Mashiach comes, they will all disappear. Today, fascism doesn't exist. Socialism, a joke. Communism, what happened? It's gone. Today. That was the first of 3 signs. The second of 3 signs, says Rabbi Chanan, is the concept that you will feel that right before Mashiach comes, it'll feel like time is flying so fast. Yes? I heard it in the name and I read it in the Sefer of Rabbi Chanan. It's going to feel like time is moving so quick. Where a year is going to feel like a month. A month is going to feel like a week. And the weeks, we blink and Shabbat is here again. Time is flying. To the extent that he says, it's going to feel like a voice is crying out to the hand that turns the wheel of time and screaming, faster, faster. Time is moving so quick. And today we feel that more than ever. And then finally, the third of 3 signs for the coming of Mashiach. And that is, says Rabbi Chanan, you're going to see like never before that there's going to be a war over each and every child of the Jewish people. Our young men and women today, and what they're going up against, and what we have to face out there, and what's sweeping our kids away from Judaism. Never before in time did we ever have concepts like teens at risk. Never before in time, the literal yeshivot and Bet Yaakov. Nobody's safe today. Doesn't matter how religious of a home you came from. Today, everybody is going out against a monster of Yetzer Hara. Today we're fighting for every child. Every single kid. Who's the future? The mothers of these children. There's no question in the world. You're the ones that are guarding the guys, making sure they stay connected to Torah. You're the ones that are bringing up the kids so that we can have another generation that will be able to accept Mashiach, that keeps our kids on the path. You're the ones that are the guardians of the home, that our Shabbat should be a Shabbat. Our kashrut should be a kosher home. It's all in your hands today. Why? I'm going to tell you and open our eyes to something that I think is truly an eye-opener. Something that you should know about yourselves. And I'm going to share with you a very famous Gemara. And this is a Gemara I've said many a time. I'm looking around, I see a few familiar faces. I forgive, please, in advance. I didn't know who I was talking to tonight. I didn't know what to prepare. That's the truth. So, if I say something you heard already, well, I guess sometimes even good stuff could use a review. Let me share with you this Gemara. Gemara tells us in Ketubot a famous story about Mar Ukva and his legendary wife. Mar Ukva was one of the Gidolei Hador, the greatest rabbis of that generation. Mar Ukva, secretly, without anybody knowing, he used to go every Thursday evening. And he used to go to the poor side of town, and he used to take little envelopes filled with money, and he used to put it on the top of the broken doors of the poor. He would do this every week, him and his wife. And then the next morning, Friday morning, when the poor man would come to his door and open his door, suddenly it would begin to rain money. And he would use that money to go and buy Shabbat, chalot, wine, meat. And nobody knew who was that masked man anyways. Nobody knew who was the one giving out the monies to these poor aniyim. Nobody knew. He used to do it in the darkness, in the middle of the night. Like this. He didn't want to embarrass anybody. He wanted them to feel that the monies were coming. Hashem provides matan beseter, the giving in hiding, without anybody know who's giving. Well, this went on for many, many years. And there was one poor man that said, you know, I got to find out who this is. This person, whoever it is, has been giving me this money for so many years, literally keeping my wife, my kids afloat. I got to find out. Who is this masked giver, this phantom tzedakah giver? So this ani, listen to what he did. He knew that every Thursday night the money was put there, so he stayed up all night. And he stalked whoever this phantom giver may be. And he waited. And his eye was on the door, watching. The moment the door is going to shake, he's going to jump up, open the door. I got you. Gemara tells us that this ani waited all night till finally Mar Ukva that night started making the rounds. Him and his wife came up to this guy's door, started putting the money on the top of the broken door, and suddenly the door began to shake a little bit. The ani, that's him. He jumps up, he grabs the knob, and Mar Ukva begins to see the knob turning. He sees that he's about to be unmasked. So him and his wife, as not to embarrass the ani, turns around and begins to run. The ani opens the door and he sees the figures of two people in the middle of the darkness of night running. So what do you think he did? He started running too. He chased them. And the chase was on. And they were going up and down the streets. Mar Ukva and his wife were running as quick as they could. And this ani was gaining speed. Mar Ukva realized that he cannot outrun this guy. So quickly he turns the corner, says the Gemara, and there was the community oven. Thursday nights, the oven went all night, heating itself up, because the whole town used this oven. Mar Ukva winks to his wife and says, quick, into the oven! Him and his wife jumps into the oven and hides, just as the ani passes. By the way, mind you, Gemara says from here you do learn that it's better to jump into a fire rather than to embarrass one Jew. They jumped into the oven. The ani runs by. They lost him. It worked. But then the Gemara tells us something incredible. Gemara tells us that Mar Ukva, the great rabbi, turns to his wife and says, I'm standing on hot coals, on fire. My feet are burning me. His wife turns to him and says, my feet are not burning. So you know what? Come. Step up onto my feet like this. Your feet will not burn. Amazing. Every time I learn this Gemara, I tell to my wife, yeah, you know why her feet weren't burning? She was wearing high heels. I mean, what's the question, But okay, we'll leave that. But bottom line, she turns and says to him, come, step on my feet. He steps up onto her feet. And no longer is his feet burning. So the Gemara says that Mar Ukva, the great rabbi, he turns to his wife and says, I don't get this. I just don't get this. How come my feet are burning and your feet are not burning? This doesn't make sense. And you know what she answers him? Incredible concept. She tells him, when a poor man comes to the door, what do? Well, you stick your hand in your pocket, pull out some money, and you hand him money. Could this hungry poor man eat the money? No. He first has to take the money. He has to go to the store, to the marketplace. And only then does he buy food. Then he's finally satiated. So your tzedakah comes in a two-step process. However, says the wife, when I answer the door and an ani, a poor man, comes to knock on my door, I don't give him money. I go to the fridge. I give him all the food we got. Because of that, my tzedakah is a one-step process. It's more direct. And because of that, I have a bigger mitzvah than you. That's the merit, that my feet are not burning and your feet are burning. Amazing. When I first learned this Gemara in Israel many years ago, when I learned there, it was bugging me. Mar Ukva was the greatest rabbi of his generation. He was what you would call the Gadol Hador. Mar Ukva. What? He didn't know that it's a greater mitzvah to give food rather than money? Only his wife knew? How do you understand this? He was the greatest rabbi. The answer is, there's a very powerful message in this Gemara. A message that teaches you an incredible sixth sense, a natural ability that women have, that men just don't have this instinct. And that is, when a man, Mar Ukva, sees a poor man come to the door, you know what he sees? He sees a poor man that's hungry. All right, he gives him money. But when his wife answered the door, you know what she saw? She didn't see a poor man that's hungry. She saw the hunger in the poor man. When you see the hunger, when you could feel it emotionally, how could you give him anything but food? That's the only thing you can give. That's the koach that our women have. And that is why you were given this incredible role. The role to be able to fill the needs, to be able to bring to greatness your husbands, your kids, your home. Because only you can really feel the needs of everybody around you in a way that's uncanny. And you know how to answer it? Direct. It's amazing. To me, it's mind-boggling. Every time we have a baby, the baby is crying. I don't know what to do with the baby. I don't know the difference between the baby crying because the baby needs to be changed, the baby's crying because it needs to be fed, the baby's crying because it's colic. I don't know. But somehow or other, my wife, she knows exactly what that baby needs. One time the baby cries, the baby has to be fed. One time, the baby has to be changed. How do you know that? I hear the same cry. To me, it's the same, what is it? How do they hear it different? But that's an unbelievable power. That's an incredible sense. It's a bina yitera that women were given that men just don't have. And with that comes tremendous feel and emotion that they're able to pick up not just on the logic, but the vibes of the needs of others and answer it perfectly. That's why you got this great job. That's why we were put in your hands, not vice versa. So because of that, I want you to understand your tafkid, your job today. Because today we're relying on you more than ever. You have to hear this. Please, open your hearts. In Europe, the way that you got a kid, one of your children, into a yeshiva is similar than the way it is today. The child would come, he'd get a test from the head rabbi, and if he is good in learning, and he's holding on the level of the yeshiva, they would accept him. If he's lacking and behind, they wouldn't. So, one day, a man walks into the great yeshiva of the Gadol Hador in Europe, Reb Baruch Ber. And he walks up to the great Rosh HaYeshiva, and he's holding his young son's hand. And he says to the Rosh HaYeshiva, Harav, please, test my son. Please. Because I'd like him to come to your school. Give him an entry exam. The rabbi said, okay, sit down. He sits the boy down, and he starts giving him the exam. And he starts testing him on a piece of a Gemara. After a few minutes, the rabbi sees that the boy is really not as advanced as where the school is holding. And because of that, the rabbi says to him, I think that it would be better for your son if he waited another year. He's not yet ready for this yeshiva. It's a little bit too advanced. We can't accept him yet. But next year, if you come back, maybe we'll accept him. The father said, okay, listen, we tried. Takes his son and he goes home. He comes home to his wife. So, when is our son going to the great yeshiva? The great rabbi, Reb Baruch Ber. The husband says, well, I don't know how to tell you this. He really didn't do that good on his entry exam. And because of that, the rabbi said, it would be better if he waited another year. He's not accepting him yet. What? He's not taking our son? Our son is not going to learn Torah by the greatest rabbi of the generation? Oh, no. Do you know what could happen to a boy in a year? Absolutely not. The next day, who shows up to the yeshiva? The mother of this boy, holding her son's hand. And she walks, beeline, right into the Bet Midrash. And she's walking through the rabbis, and she's looking around, she says, all right, show me, which one is Reb Baruch Ber? Which one's the head rabbi? And all the guys were like, here's the one over there in the front, next to the Aron. She walks right up to the head rabbi. Are you Reb Baruch Ber? Yes. I'd like to talk to you. This is my son. This is the boy that you tested yesterday. I insist that you take my son into this yeshiva. Baruch Ber was like, he didn't know what to say. And then she looks in his eye and she says to him, I waited my entire life to have a child, just so my son could learn Torah, just so he can become something special in the great Torah Hakdosha. I will not stand by and allow my son not to be from the luminaries of the Torah of this generation. I insist that you take my son. And she begins to cry. Reb Baruch Ber sees this. He turns to one of the boys and he tells him, come here. He turns to the student, he says, take this boy, bring him to the dormitory, give him a room, give him a bed, bring him back. I want him to give you a chavruta, a learning partner. He's accepted. He's in the yeshiva. With that, the mother calmed down. She turned around and she left. Now all the students come over to their rabbi. Rebbe, what in the world happened? Yesterday the boy showed up with his father. You gave him an X-ray exam. He just wasn't up to par. You told him, I'm sorry, I can't accept you. All of a sudden he shows up today with his mother. He's accepted, no entry exam, he's in, period. What's going on? Baruch Ber told him, I want to tell you something. Mit the tatas can ich handeln. With the fathers, I can deal with the fathers. But with the mothers, when a mother comes and she tells you, I want my son to learn, there's nothing you can say. Nothing could stand behind or in front of the tears of a mother crying on her son to become something great in Torah. Nothing. That's the power that you have. And you might not even know you had it. And that's the power we need today. We need this power more than ever. You see, because when you pick up a Tehillim and when you pray, your voices are going to go up to Shamayim. And Hashem is going to say the same thing. Hashem's going to say, the tefillot of the guys, okay, that I could look into and see if I'm going to accept or not accept. But the tefillot of our women, that come with feeling, that come with heart, that come with emotion and tears. That's a cry that Hashem says, the fathers I can deal with, but the mothers, whatever they want. Whatever they want. That's your job today. Our homes, the kids, our guys, but most of all, your prayers, your tefillah to Hashem. That is what's going to make it today. And we need it today more than ever. There's a crazy, insane guy out there in Iran who soon is going to have his finger on a nuclear bomb, lo aleinu. And this guy, according to all the rabbis in Israel, is the Haman of this generation. And guess where he is? Right back at home in Iran, right where the story started from. And his call and his decree is no different than the Megillah we just read a few weeks ago. La'arog ul'abed ul'ashmed et kol ha'yehudim. He wants to wipe out all the Jews. He wants to wipe Israel off the map. And he has no problem saying it in public. Take a look at his name. It's tough for me to pronounce his name. Ahmed Benjamin Lahmajin. I don't know what it's called. But whatever the name is, did you know that it has the numerical value of Haman HaGagi, the exact same number? The rabbis say that he is a Gilgul of the original Haman. And he's back to do it all over again. You know what he's trying to do to us? He's trying to pull a story of Purim on us. You know what we're going to do to him? We're going to pull a story of Pesach on him. You know who got us out? You know who brought us out of Egypt and brought us the redemption? The Gemara says one of the greatest merits we had to get to the redemption of Egypt was Bizchut Nashim Tzidkaniot. Because of the righteous women of that generation, we were Zochet to leave Egypt. This coming Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. In a few weeks is going to be Pesach. He's trying to pull on us a Purim. Let's pull on him a Pesach. Let's get out of here. It's up to you. You took us out of Egypt. And in the zechut of our righteous women, you can take us out again. This coming Pesach, it could be a real time of redemption. It's up to you. When you walk out those doors tonight, don't walk out empty-handed. Ask yourself, what am I going to do for Israel? What am I going to do for the Jewish people? What am I going to do for my family? Even if it means an extra piece of Tehillim every day. Even if it means a little chesed here. Or push yourself to do a Shabbat a little better. But you can't walk out empty-handed. We're relying on you. Your call for greatness today is not an option. It's a need. We need your help. Because we have trying times coming now. The minute that Israel goes and starts bombing Iran, it's the beginning of World War III. Period. And is there anybody out there with us? Nobody. Did you see it? When this guy from Iran came to the United Nations some time ago, and he walked in, they gave him a standing ovation. Believe that? And out of all the countries of the world, 2 countries walked out. Who are they? Israel and the United States. Nobody else. Do you know what that means? That's a statement. That means the entire world is okay with this lunatic and the lunacy that's coming out of his mouth. Could you imagine the times we're living in? And even the one friend we have, America, let's not forget our president's middle name is Hussein. So we have nobody in truth. We only have Hashem. And Hashem says, what are you going to do about it? Let's walk out tonight showing what we're going to do about it. We're in your hands. It was the righteous women that got us out of Egypt. It's the righteous women that are going to take us out of this final galut. It is your prayers. It's your tefillot. It's your chesed and the bringing up of our husbands, connecting them to Torah, our children in proper yeshivot, and making our homes a place that Shabbat, the Queen and the King of Kings, will be a guest in your homes each and every week. That's the way it's done. Because you have no idea how powerful your tefillot are. Like I said, With the men, Hashem's going to say, I can deal with the men. But the women, once those tears start, Hashem says, whatever you want. Whatever you want. We need you today. Walk out tonight telling yourself, I'm going to commit myself to something. I'm going to do a little bit better of a tefillah. I'm going to pray at least in the morning shachrit every day. I'm not going to miss. And I'm going to do this for Am Yisrael. I'm going to start doing a little bit more chesed. I'm going to keep Shabbat a little bit better in my home. My husband, I'll introduce him to a shiur in town. There are so many wonderful classes for him to connect to Torah. You need to be great today so we can get out of this galut. You have no idea what your tefillot mean in heaven. Let's take this to heart. Because if our women will answer the call, like the Honda commercial. Hey, it's Mr. Opportunity and I'm knocking. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. This Pesach could be the end of it all. We could be Zocheto Mashiach. We're relying on you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.